played Zenless Zone Zero for the first time ever, spending a day to find out if there's any gacha game behind the marketing mayhem. Right from the opening screen, Zenless Zone Zero exudes style. I mean, how many games let you watch in-universe TV ads while finishing up on your downloads? But after a short wait, our first cutscene. In this in-engine rendered cutscene, we are introduced to our main protagonists, and our two main siblings' cast roles as proxies. But let's not get bogged down on the story details, we have a decision to make. We get to choose between brother and sister, Wise and Belle. Though, to be honest, in my opinion, the choice isn't that complicated. We have gray-haired generic guy on one side, and blue hair smiling at me with the dog in the Tinder profile picture girl on the other. In other words, I'm a Belle truther. Back to the cutscenes, here we have a new cast of characters who will serve as our first playable characters, if you couldn't tell from their extravagant designs. One thing that has to be said is how silly and over-the-top the animation style is. I don't think I've ever seen first-person waving inflatable arms before. But then things shift, from expertly crafted rendered cutscenes to expertly crafted comic panels. I know that these are the same guys behind Genshin Impact, but you really feel that the devs knew they had infinite production value. And I guess I'll address this now. I know people like to argue about voice acting language for these games, but I think the English actors have earned at least a few minutes of screen time.
We're done for.
And just like that, a seamless transition back to rendered cutscene, and a seamless transition into gameplay. So let's get started. Zenless Zone is a 3D action game, and although you can't jump, you can mash the strafe keys to do whatever this is. Here we play as Ambi and run into our first combat encounter, so behold, combat. All characters have a basic attack with a unique string, and let's take a minute to appreciate the music. All characters have their own special attacks, which can be empowered by using your basic attacks. Easily the best part of combat is just how over the top and stylish it is. I mean, even the windscreen is unnecessarily artistic. Given that Zone Zero is a character-based game, a lot of the dialogue serves to characterize said characters, and to its credit, it's quite fun. Ambi here, being cold and socially inept, decides to audio log her own demise in honor of the classic movie and video game trope. And Billy here is a late-night drama actress superfan. But with two characters now in the party, the real fun begins. By executing attacks, we can trigger a chain attack, shifting between party members to execute character-specific actions. Here I get a glimpse of Zenless Zero's main design principle, fluidity. Even though Billy's range puts us far out of reach of Ambi's sword, it doesn't matter. Rule of cool plus some flashy animation work will trump any and all realistic expectations of spatial consideration. To complete a character's arsenal, we are given ultimate abilities, but only after building up 3000 decibels through combat. And of course, they're flashy too. Now a bit of story. The hollows, where our characters are stuck, have a corrupting influence on the life forces within. So we witness someone afflicted by that corruption and are forced to fight. And while most of the combat thus far has been focused on fancy ways to obliterate our opponents, now we are taught about one of our main defensive options, a perfect assist. It's more or less a parry system. When the yellow lights flash, we can swap characters to... Our two characters decide to run away, shifting us back to our proxies, who are then met by the third playable character, Nicole, as she asks us for help navigating through the hollows, a proxy's main purpose.
What did you get yourself into this time?
And now to the open world part of the game. Well, not yet. I promised I'd give the English voices their minute, so now it's time to try out the Japanese voices. This is also where I learn of the existence of these wonderful creatures, the Bangboos, who I now love and cherish. With the help of the HDD, hollow deep dive system, not slow computer storage, we can run missions into the dangerous hollows. But before beginning, I am given a combat difficulty selection. But since this game has dodge and parry mechanics, it's basically Dark Souls. And since I need to constantly validate my gamer credentials, I go challenge mode. In the span of 30 minutes, I've gone from watching cutscenes to playing as 2 different agents, to playing briefly as Belle, the proxy, and now I'm in the tiny body of a Bangbu, doing something completely different. But to keep it simple, the Bangbu gameplay experience is locating hidden consoles and hacking into them by playing an impromptu game of Fall Guys. I mean, come on, it's literally the same jump and dive. More or less, our main character Belle is sort of a guide for people in the dangerous and confusing hollows, and this Bangbu is the avatar of her destruction. We get back into the combat section, this time against a bigger and badder dude. He's spongy enough that I eventually fill up the second bar, which leaves him in a dazed state, taking more damage. Although, I don't put myself in a great position to capitalize. Soon enough, all 3 of our agents are happily reunited on the surface, and we unlock the smuggiest girl on the block. Oh, and the dialogue is still peak. Seriously though, like the video. With the basics of combat and missions out of the way, the game shifts focus to the overworld experience, with our headquarters being the siblings' video store. We take up commissions on the not so cleverly named Internaut, and are tasked with creating an alt account. Since alt accounts are generally where incognito things happen, I go with a more under-the-radar name, Tazzy Schnoo. And I'm gonna do it again, the stylish flavor pieces in this game are insane. Each little story panel is styled after a social media site, with fake comments to boot. I mean, even the fake E-celebs have fake E-haters. The game then gives us an excuse to explore the streets, and I mean, we got all the video game staples. Daily scratch card gambling addiction, street cats that you cannot pet, and mechanical ramen chef. Okay, that one's a little bit different, but onto something a little more familiar. Leveling up characters is as easy as a few clicks if you have enough resources. Now, this is the first time something in this now hour-long tutorial has utterly confused me. We get a W engine, which reads to me like a special gear set, passive augments for our character, but the tutorial says that it activates a special appearance in battle. I don't know if I'm blind or this is some oversight mistranslation, but my dear Ambi here pretty much looks exactly the same as before. And now for perhaps the single most impressive, but also baffling parts about the early Zenless Zone Zero experience. Here we are directed to the Signal Search tab, where we can obtain new agents, at which point anyone familiar with the infinite money printing system that is Gacha would roll their eyes. Simply put, Zenless Zone Zero is a gacha game where the characters you can play have to be rolled for, on limited time banners, with limited currency, meant to get you to spend some of your hard-earned cash. But in a completely unbelievable twist, in my, spoilers, 4 hours of play, this is the only time they even remotely draw attention to this screen. Heck, they don't even give you the first one is free roll to get you hooked onto the gamble. It's almost like they're so confident you'll like the game they made, they know you're gonna go visit that cash shop. Speaking of which, back to the very fun combat, this time with Nicole on our side. She can shoot black holes, which draw enemies together. And, I mean, look at this. It's no wonder they just want you to keep playing. The marketing guys are just like, show them more of that. Now, story-wise, there's a lot happening, so buckle up for the 3-sentence summary. Number 1, we get hacked by some bad actor, our party of 3 are stranded without our help, and we capitulate to the hacker's demands, meaning we lose our high-status identity as Python on the internet and have to build our reputation from our alt account Tazishnu. But in trying to rectify the problems, we accidentally unleash an advanced AI fairy model, who is extremely sketchy, but pretty darn helpful. And lastly, to upset both the English and Japanese voice acting fans, we'll be finishing the video in Chinese. But back to the open world. As if the game had heard me complaining earlier, we do actually get to pet the cat, and even get to take pictures of it. Here we get a dose of the classic mobile game gacha game feature bloat with redeemable daily rewards and account level rewards and hourly income systems. But then we get a text from Billy asking us to meet at the nearby arcade, where he tells us about some of the arcade's new games, like the extremely hyped 2v2 game Snake Duel, and he wants to go play with us. I swear to God, if this is just cutscene flavored text, I'm taking a whole letter grade off the final review score. But, to my surprise, I'm greeted not by a 2v2 game of Snake Duel, but with a whole host of arcade cabinets. Okay, it's more of a spinny wheel, but there are literally full-fledged minigames to play here. The one I ended up playing was a Vampire Survivors type game with all the fixings: difficulties, items, coins, shops, bosses, and most notably, over 20 characters you can unlock just by playing that arcade game. You heard that right, there is meta progression for this arcade cabinet side event in this character fighter action gacha game. Add to the fact that you can play these games alone or against your friends, it's just absurd. I really wanted to play more of these arcade games, but I only give myself 3 to 4 hours for my one-day reviews, so let's get back into it. One thing that has to be said about Zenless is they show you new things at a breakneck pace. There's like 2 different types of TV puzzles that appeared once or twice during my 4-hour playtime, 3 different shops that provide all different types of services. It's a lot to cover, both for a new player in their first few hours, and for a YouTube review not trying to waterboard you with the details. So let's focus on the next main story, focused on another playable character, Nekomata. She presents herself as a friend of Nicole and the gang, and wants us to help with a situation where a big corporation, doing the usual corporate regulation skirting, have trapped a bunch of innocent people and are planning on demolishing that sector with tons and tons of explosives. If you want the specifics, you're gonna have to play the game and find out. Because for my purposes, we'll be focusing on the new character, Nekomata, who is an extremely floaty and agile melee fighter. Also, check out this Bang Boo assist. And while she slots herself neatly as my second favorite melee fighter on my team, she definitely outperforms our next member of the cast. Meet Korin. And while I can say she's a very endearing character, shy, tiny, chainsaw maid, she's the only character that I actively disliked playing as. Unlike the entire design document of flashy and fluid, her attacks are slow and committed, compared to other characters. Now the game keeps teasing this guy here, Dead End Butcher, so I'm sure we'll be dealing with him later. More gorgeous comic work, and now, a VR game? Okay, it's a training module where you can fight enemies for leveling rewards. One thing I will criticize is that in the tutorial, unless I glossed over one line in the 100 million lines of tutorial text, they don't tell you what these red flourish attacks mean, so I spent most of my time simply dodging away from them. Regardless, we find said trapped people. Our Neko friend reveals herself to be part of a rival gang, and she kidnaps the leader of the corporation. Again, if you're confused, I'd look up a lore video or two. But soon enough, we find ourselves face to face with the Dead End Butcher himself, our first boss fight in Zenless, not only indicated by the large looming health bar, but also with more complicated attack strings, big scary AoEs, and in true Souls-like fashion, a second phase. This is also where I noticed that because characters linger a bit after switching, they can get clipped on the way out. But by properly timing my DPS to my dazes, we make short work of the fight. I think I've bastardized the story enough, so we'll gloss over it, but everyone is safe, everyone is now friends, and I've got the pictures to prove it. At this point, I'm about 4 hours logged, and about ready to write my glowing review, so I wanted to investigate those gacha mechanics one last time, since the game seems so opposed to showing me directly, only to find that the game doesn't even let you get the chance. So I decided to do the little trial advertisement for their new character trigger. I get confused on what an EX special attack is, and end it there. Zenless Zone Zero is a character-based action game first, A gacha game, maybe? The level of detail from the silly little side games to the over-the-top animations is staggering. And I only said it once, so I'll say it again, the music is banging. I'll give Zenless Zone Zero a please let me gamble on gacha, it'll be good content for the video, out of 10. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to watch another video here.